Today we are going to be talking about Moldavite. It is a tektite that is only found in Austria and the Czech Republic. What it is a result of a meteorite crashing into the Earth about 15 million years ago. The tektite itself has a bit of reputation, which we're going to be going over, but I just want to let you guys know that we're going to be talking about my personal experiences with it, how to tell real ones from fake ones, and how it is I've worked with it. And if you stay until the end of the video, I will share with you some bonus information and tips on working with Moldavite. Unfortunately, this tektite has been known to have a reputation, one that has led others to believe that it may be something that could ruin your life, all for the sake of spiritual growth. There are tons of stories about people losing their job, losing their house, losing their significant other, as well as the handling of Moldavite specifically causing headaches, causing disruption of sleep patterns, and bringing about occasional mental breakdown. This is something that I've just heard, and these are just stories that I've just been told about. I can't say for sure. I can't speak for others in particular, but these may be some of the things you will hear about Moldavite. My actual experiences with Moldavite really started with the most recent piece that I have had of Moldavite. I have purchased a very small piece to begin with, like many years ago, and then moved on to an artificially lab-grown piece, and then found my way back to a authentically certified jewelry piece, which I'm actually wearing currently. The Moldavite that I first purchased all those years ago was actually this piece. I'm going to see if you can actually see that. I'm going to see if I can have that zoom in, but and nope. Yeah, no, it's about as close as it gets here. Right there. Anyways, yeah, so that would be the piece that I originally bought. And this is the jewelry piece that was lab grown. As you can see, the shading, the coloring of it is different, as well as the sort of like surface quality. These are things that I'm going to be going over later, but onto the story itself. This piece was something that I got on Etsy. I know, questionable, but the reviews were very high, as well as the quantity of sales that were being done. So I thought I'd just try it out. The price was absolutely reasonable for the size of it, and it was, to be honest, something else entirely. Like the first moment that I got my hands on the piece here was one that I had an immediate reaction to, sort of realization of just like how much juice this thing actually had. It's wildly different compared to this sort of like a lab-grown piece, and it was even a lot different than the original piece that I had. At the time of me getting this piece in the first place, I didn't necessarily feel much. I did get like a little bit of a fire coming out of it, some high vibrations, but I don't think that at the time I was really ready to handle it. So at the time of, I just kind of liked it. I purchased it from like a local rock shop, and it was just like I said, a very cool piece, but not one that I put a lot of time or effort into trying to kind of vibe with or incorporate into my meditations. I did then again hear more about Moldavite, and my ego definitely led me to at least just try to see what it was that these lab-grown pieces were all about. I did also get this on Etsy, but they did advertise that it was lab-grown, so it wasn't something that I didn't buy because I saw a good price. I saw the price, I saw the label, and I was like, you know what, let me just see what this is about. The piece itself, it's not like there isn't a vibe to it, to be honest. It's just not nearly as much as this, and nowhere near this piece. The thing is, the vibe itself was a lot more calm. It was almost like just this subconscious hum that was just kind of in the back somewhere that you'd be able to kind of peek into every now and then. But then the fact that it was artificially made and still kind of gave me some weird sort of vibe was something that entirely piqued my interest back into Moldavite altogether. So I dug my piece back up, and I was Did a little bit of meditation work with it, a little bit more sort of like kind of an understanding, like getting a grasp. Didn't get like anywhere far, you could say, but I did just get more and more curious about what it is that this sort of tektite really had in store for me. So I went ahead and jumped back on Etsy, looked for some great reviews, looked for some high quantity purchases, and tried to see what the authentication process was for the particular vendor. So when I found the right one, I had a good conversation with the vendor themselves and finally purchased my piece. It came in the mail. It is a sterling silver piece. I do have it wire wrapped and with 2 other crystals that I'm going to be explaining a little bit later. But it is a sterling silver wrapped piece, and it is quite like this. There is a frame to it, of course, with a sterling silver, but the piece itself is still very much jagged and inconsistent and just is of just many different sort of like facets. And I got this piece, like I said, the first one when I grabbed onto it, I had a small door of awareness opened for me with this little piece. Something the first moment that I found its value in, and definitely was something that inspired me to continue those sorts of meditations, to bring myself into a closer connection to this sort of energy, this sort of high vibe. And I was not disappointed. The long-term experiences that I've had for the past 6 to 8 months with this piece have been exponential growth in my spiritual awareness and my sense of understanding to myself and the sort of integration of the damaged parts as well as the parts that I didn't even know I had. So the tektite itself is green and is one that is associated with the heart chakra and is associated with the healing and transformation of a person's life, healing from trauma and transformation of stagnant and directionless aspects of your life. The reason why I say that 8 to 6 months was because the first 2 months I had it on, but the time that I had this piece delivered, I went ahead and had just a lot of things on my plate, so I just didn't have the time to really devote to that meditation that I was like looking forward to. When I found that time, about a month or so later after my delivery, I felt the sort of gear of which my meditations took to be on another level. It was just something else when I would really get deep into meditations. These meditations would even go on for hours, just as I was trying to understand myself, understand a lot of my own sorts of turmoil, my trauma, like what is my life and what is it that I was resisting. The experience was one in which I was able to just kind of find a lot of insight on. It's as if when I sat down with the tektite, it allowed all that sort of like high gear energy to just be pinpoint focused on all the things that were holding me back. And I had to say, like, this, just doing that practice in general, just kind of like going over these things in my own mind, was just a game changer to me in general. The fact that I was actually able to find those breakthroughs was only the beginning of my experience with this tektite. Like I said, it just seems to have, whenever you really make that time, that sort of pinpoint focus on the things that you have just not been facing in your life recently. I could say that in my general senses of my other meditations, it had helped me because I did sleep with it. I didn't wear it when I slept with it. I definitely had it in my hand, had the chain wrapped around my hand so it wouldn't just like kind of fall out while I was sleeping, and I would just kind of hold it there and then go to sleep. When I would do this, I would have a lot more vivid dreams to make it to the point where I had lucid dream experiences, as well as senses of astral projection when I just had my mind on something in particular and it happened to be of the physical world. When I was really in meditations, when I was really deep in them, I would be able to have these wild sort of visualizations of the things taking place. And I could say that my most recent kind of discovery with this tektite is one of manifestation. I have found an incredible ability to manifest things. And honestly, at first, I was kind of being really ego about it. I was just saying, like, you know what, maybe I could ask for a few more dates, maybe. I could just maybe find a little bit more money. I don't know. These things were just kind of coming to mind. Like, what is it that I could actually transform in my life? And it really kind of boiled down to me just throwing those thoughts out the window and then thinking about How can I manifest my healing? How can I manifest my business's growth? How can I manifest my deepest wish? And I just made it a point to do so, to make that my focus. I'm like, why not just cut out the middleman and go straight to what I actually want? Why not be a little bit more aware of myself? These questions were the ones in my own mind. And it was the funniest thing, because at first I was just like, maybe I could try to, just be a little ego. Maybe I could just ask and see what happens. And something happened. And then I just went on to ask for more deeply and more meaningful things. And doing so definitely actually manifested. So I could say that my ability to bring things and attract things into my life has just exponentially grown. I think that the amount of high octane energy that this really does incorporate is one in which you, especially when focused on the heart's intentions, can really bring about some big changes. And I think that when you sort of prepare yourself to not resist them as you are manifesting them, you just bring that sort of reciprocation, that sort of immediacy of your manifestation to be presented in front of you. It's wild. It's been a pretty wild circumstance. I would say that it has been something that has been worth the worrisome rumors, the unfortunate reputation that this crystal has. I do want to point out that I have lost 2 jobs in the past 6 months. Not going to lie, but the circumstances in which I've been able to actually make that work for me has been pretty interesting, and has been something that's allowed for a greater sense of room for the things that I'm really trying to manifest, the things that I'm really trying to strive for in my life. So I would say that if you are a person that is just incredibly grounded in the physical values of your life, and you're not looking to have a great amount of change, or to have at least a focused sense of change, I don't believe this crystal would be for you. But if you are a person that is just that has just been trying and grinding and kicking down doors one after another, and just trying stuff and trying stuff and trying stuff and just trying stuff and just continually trying stuff, but just not really having that sort of success to get you to where you want to be, I would suggest you try this tektite out. It is an absolute game changer. And it is something that has, like I said, made a big difference in my life, and helped me gain that sense of clarity and that sense of confidence in my ability to get the things that I want in life, because I am getting those things that I want. Now on to the second subject here, the understanding if the Moldavite you purchased is real or fake. Fortunately, like I said, I do have 2 pieces, one that is lab grown or that is artificial, and one that is authentic, as well as another piece, but I will discuss that piece a little bit later. One of the main ways to tell if your Moldavite is real is if you understand where it's coming from. You have to know that all Moldavite is from the Czech Republic, Austria, or other parts of southern Germany. These are the only places that Moldavite can be found. So if you ever find someone trying to advertise that it came from somewhere in Asia, or if it's like some super special quadruple secret African Moldavite, there's no such thing. The second thing you should note about real Moldavite compared to fake Moldavite is the textural surface. If you could see, this is the lab-grown one and has this incredibly shiny surface. It's one that has just a lot of glassy sorts of reflective qualities. Very much literally like glass. But if you could see this, it's a bit duller, it's a bit more robust in the sense of just, you could say, light absorption compared to reflection. You'll just see a lot of the surface itself as well to have a more finer grainy sort of consistency, and if you can see that it does have a duller sense of that color, it is not going to have this sort of lime-ish green tint to it. It's going to have quite a few different shades of green, but all of them being a little more dull, a little more opaque, maybe. In all instances, I think you can kind of tell that difference. The third thing you should be considering when purchasing Moldavite is the price. You should understand that these are valuable tektites. These are even more now so because of the limited mining resources or the limited mining access that the Czech Republic government has allowed for Moldavite. So the price itself has increased, and so has the amount of fakes. So, like I said, I did purchase this from someone that was labeling it as what it was, lab grown. And in all honesty, it is from a mold of some sort. And I don't know what their process was when they, made this in the lab. Another thing that you should take into account when you are trying to purchase Moldavite, at least genuine ones, is something that I have mentioned in the previous lists of qualities. The formation of this is very much artificial. It is round, it is very much like just thin, and it's very smooth. So the sort of, I guess you could say, mold that the obviousness of this mold is something that I think that you should take into account, because this is a pretty common form of artificial Moldavite. This piece in itself is very unique. You're not going to find a lot of huge pieces like that. You're not going to ever find one that's got that sense of like perfect ovalness, and you're not going to find one that doesn't have that sense of rigidity. Very much a common quality. One of the most noticeable qualities of Moldavite is that sort of chaotic formation, that chaotic, rigid, and like kind of sharp edges to it. The sort of like unpredictable aspects in its form. So that is definitely something to consider. You will never find quality or authentic Moldavite that is of a uniform shape. Each one is unique and each one is individualistic. Number 5 on what it is you should be looking for when you are purchasing Moldavite. You should ask and make sure it has a certificate of authenticity. If it doesn't, then I would not trust that source. If it isn't able to back up its claims of authenticity with actual paperwork, I would not purchase it from them. And number 6, there is and there has been a sort of a selling of beads, of Moldavite beads on, just bracelets. This sort of formation for Moldavite isn't super common. If you ever see something that does look a little bit like this, and it's a bead, it most likely might not be authentic, actually. Apparently the process it takes to make these Moldavite pieces into a round bead is expensive, and it usually results in a clearer looking product. So it does lose its rigidity, it does lose that sense of milky thickness. It does clear up a little bit when they turn it into a bead. So if you ever see beads that were just on a lower price, I would not recommend you purchase it, mainly because, like I said, the process it takes to create these into beads is more wasteful than just purchasing this and putting it in a silver sterling frame. So that is just something to consider as well. Now on to how to use your Moldavite. So in the times in which that I had used this piece, it was not very often, and I didn't really get to create a sort of technique with it. The way in which I work with beads in general, or rocks or crystals in general, is one in which I'm holding it with my dominant hand, and I'm using 2 fingers in particular to gain my focus and my attention and direct my flow of energy with it. Moldavite is something that I found to be quite different, and I didn't necessarily get that sort of connection. I think the difficulty in me being able to gain that sort of connection to the crystal itself was due to the fact that it isn't actually a crystal. It is a glass form. They do not have a molecular geometric form. They do not have a sort of memory for it to be encompassed on, or to be coded, if that makes any sense. This is glass. This is something that does not have those sorts of patterns. It does not have that sort of consistency. So I threw out the kind of book when it comes to handling crystals and how it is you can try to use that technique on tektites. I more or less just threw it into my left hand, to be honest, and I just kind of understood there's an energy to this. There's a source of it, and the source is kind of radioactive, an incredibly powerful impact force. So in its true and primal sense, it is something in which the earth received a foreign body, and this reception is something that is what this whole piece of glass is based on. It's based on receiving, and somehow this has been able to resonate and hold on to that energy. The circuitry just isn't there, but the energy still is. And so I just decided to see if I can try to receive, be a little more feminine, and try to throw it in my left hand, or my receiving hand. So your hand may not be dominant for you. And I just tried to see what I could receive from it. And I didn't use any of my fingers in particular. I just had it out in my palm, and then I just had it resting there. And I would just kind of hold it, and I would just try to take some deep breaths. The idea is that I am not sapping any energy from this. It's the fact that I am just trying to receive the energy that it has taken 15 million years to come to me to give. And so just taking those deep breaths, closing my eyes, and allowing my mind to wander, and then just try to see if I can ground and then incorporate that high octane, that high level energy into just the breath, and seeing where my mind went. As I did this, I would come up with sorts of questions of what is it that I'm resisting in my life? What is it that I want to transform? What is it that I'm looking to grow within myself, and how can I do so? And are these things integral to me? Are these things integral to my desired purpose, my desired lifestyle? Am I going to actually enjoy the fruits of the labor in which I am designing myself to act upon? Upon just continual questioning, I whittled myself down to these core desires, and then made it a point to just have that as a desired expression in my physical world, as a desired manifestation to help me along my journey in my life. And in doing so, focusing on that lifestyle, kind of bringing about a sort of visualization and then emotional status, and in experiencing those manifestations and experiencing that best life, And I went ahead and just tried that out, and I have been finding better and better results with the increased authenticity of my attitude towards my manifestations. The more I put into it, authentically, sincerely, the more that I am getting out of it. And that is what I have to share with you. So, I hope this helps. If you guys stuck with it and watched the video up until this point, I'm going to be going over a few crystals, a few other tektites that I have found to be super beneficial. So, number 4, here we are. Extra tips. What I have found to be super beneficial in my journey on my tektite meditations is the aspect of bringing Herkimer diamond into the practice. The thing itself is one that is a crystal that is known to amplify the sorts of influences and outputs of other crystals. Herkimer diamond is a double terminated quartz crystal, and it is one that's been known to also help with transformation. It's also been one to help with a sense of attunement and clarity of mind. So it does help you bring about that sort of focus into what this high octane energy glass, Moldavite, is to be focused on. Is what is it going to be trained on, and how fast, how much are you going to be able to manifest. It is also a crystal of enlightenment in increasing the energy flow to the third eye chakra and the crown chakra. It also has a habit of cleansing negative energies. The second crystal that I would recommend you use with this tektite is actually another tektite. It is called black tektite. This is a tektite that can be found in quite a few places. The ones that I picked were from Tibet. What they're really well known for is clearing negativity. They are also well known for healing auras, healing traumas, and healing the physical body. Headaches, fatigue, insomnia. They've also been noted to help with inflammation and alleviation of pain and muscular tensions. The tektite has been known to have a sort of grounding effect on the natural energies of Moldavite. So it is something that I would say has helped me kind of bring that energy into my body a little easier. The energy itself that black tektite has has been one of protection and has been one of healing for me. So it doesn't amplify the natural energies of Moldavite, but it does have a grounding effect. And the third piece that I would say is a good combination for Moldavite is Libyan desert glass. Libyan desert glass is another tektite that has the same qualities of Moldavite, but without any of that sort of negative reputation. So you could say that Libyan desert glass is like a calmer, cooler, just a lot more at ease and chill cousin, the calm, cool guy. If you do pair them, it does kind of multiply the amount of that high octane energy. But it does so within, instead of the heart chakra, it is a tektite that is focused on the will chakra. So it does seem to bring about your desires, but within your sense of peace, within your sense of, I could say your sense of self-control. Like the heart can be a fluttering thing, but your will, when tempered, is something that can really help you find that inner peace in the middle of a battlefield. So I do think that is what Libyan desert glass does. It's all the same qualities of Moldavite, just not as aggressive. And the fourth and final crystal, because it is a crystal, is the phenakite. So phenakite is one of the, if not the highest natural crystal, highest frequency, highest vibrational crystal in the world. The high quality of this crystal is incredible. It is something that I could say is almost as noticeable as Moldavite, because they both have just this high octane energy. I would say that I would recommend you use this pairing on a sort of just meditation basis. I wouldn't recommend you wear it all the time. They do complement each other. But if you are not a person that is well grounded, if you're not a person that is just used to high octane energy that can just handle that sort of flow, you will be uprooted. You will be kind of pushed to an irritation instead of a complementary high vibe. It can be, I think, with the two being as high vibe as they are, it can be aggressive, and it can, like I said, be uprooting. It can be irritating, jarring. And if you are not an adept, or if you're not just even like I would say like a mid-level like meditator, if you don't do it every day, I would recommend you just try it out for like 10 minutes and just see how you feel afterwards. Because I gotta say, that is a different sort of level. Because I think that phenakite naturally does have a grounding effect, but it does, I think, matter what it's connected with, what it's paired with. Being one of the highest vibrational crystals on Earth, naturally speaking, it is something that has just this sort of fiery quality. Like if you put it in the sun for too long, it will burn your skin. Like that is how refractory these crystals are, how just intense they can be. Phenakite also has a reputation for being a healing crystal, one that helps you bring about a stronger sense of self, one that has a protective aura, and one that does and can be associated with any of the chakras. So if you were to double down on the heart chakra, it would be something that would be, like I said, just incredibly powerful, and I would recommend you would just try this out little bits at a time. So I would recommend you look into it and try it out for yourself amongst all of these combinations. As I said before, Herkimer diamond has that amplification quality of the Moldavite. Black tektite has a grounding effect and a protective effect. Libyan desert glass has a way of sort of smoothing out the rough edges that Moldavite's influences has on your life. And phenakite is also a high quality, high octane amplifier and can be something that helps you double down on that heart chakra if you were really looking for an in-depth sense of healing, because that is what phenakite can do for you. So I hope this helps. I hope you guys purchase Moldavites at your own risk. I hope you guys know that I am not advocating this, because like I said, you would need to be a person that is looking for change, that has tried every other way in the book to get what you're trying to do in life done, and just haven't succeeded so far. This is something that will uproot a lot of the things in your life that have been holding you back, and will allow you to pursue that dream, your desires, your heart's desire. So, if you are happy where you are at in life, and you are just trying to be curious, you're just, maybe I should try this out, you know what, maybe I'll just look into it, I would not recommend it. If you are someone that, like I said, is just on that journey and you are just too stubborn to change directions, but you just know you gotta just move a few things around in your life to make whatever it is you're striving for happen, I would recommend you to get this crystal 100% and try out those combinations. So, like I said, I hope this helps, and I hope to see you guys in the next one. Thank you very much for liking and subscribing. Thank you very much for watching this video. Deuces.